Everybody, I hope you're having a great holiday season. I'm introducing an all-new segment for the year-end of 2024, which I'm calling the Year-End 10. As the name implies, it'll be a list of 10 items of something. I'm kicking it off with a list of my top 10 all-time favorite box modes across all of 5-2 Toys Machine Cube series. A couple of quick things. First, I'm generating this list from my own collection up to date of this video release. This only includes figures that have been pulled out of the box, played around with, put on the shelf, and that sort of thing. As you can see, I've got everything lined up here on the wall, and I had to zoom my camera way out just so I could get all of these in frame. What this list does not include is a pretty significant backlog of figures that I bought, but still hasn't been unpacked. And to give you a little bit of an idea of how behind I am on this stuff, I literally have things here that I bought over a year ago that still haven't been touched. Let's take a quick peek at what's waiting on me to get around to. There's quite a bit of cool stuff in here. I went a little nuts on fig lights headed into the holidays, mostly with the Legacy of Lovecraft series. Hopefully I'll be able to do a review of these eventually. I think they're pretty cool. And as you can see, I've got a 3.5 figure version of Unis, which at a glance looks like a very high quality figure to me. I'm definitely looking forward to getting that one out. I've got some limited edition figures, and I'm not going to touch this one right now. I'm saving that as a surprise for another video. Also, I bought a VIP pass, which this year will apparently include some exclusive variants of standard release figures. Some of you might recall I did a video on failed shipments from 5-2 Toys AliExpress store. Several shipments over this past year arrived in crushed boxes. I finally had enough, and I called out what their shipping partner was sending, as well as their lagging communication. So, with a VIP membership, I'm back on the horse with AliExpress, and I want to do a follow-up video sometime in the next year to review how their shipments have held up. People tend to use online forums to complain about businesses, and I think it's only fair to show a counterpoint to those complaints when it makes sense. So be on the lookout for that also. On to business. I'm going to break down this entire wall and take the time to look over all these figures and determine which ones are going to make the cut. I have several versions of Dios. This is 5-2 Toys Mascot. It's the first Beastbox ever, and it's a very basic box form, has more repaints and variations than I can count, and for those reasons I'm removing it from contention straight out of the gate. As far as the top 10 list criteria, it seems like a pretty straightforward topic, but it turns out there's quite a bit of variables involved. What gets on this list is not going to be a summary calculation like I do with box grades, but more or less a set of attributes that I think are on theme for the series and overall just makes a nice looking little box. So let's go down the list of that criteria. Number 1, it has a quote-unquote creature in a box theme, which would be qualities that make it a cube-shaped avatar of the creature inside. You could tell at a glance what the creature is, or to a lesser extent, maybe there's eyes peeking out of the box or that sort of thing. Number 2, it's a box that has a beautiful design with regard to its color scheme, shapes, interesting graphics or patterns, contours, and that kind of thing. Let's not overlook the fact that as cubes, these aren't just the compact form of the figure, they're also little pieces of artwork in their own right, and the engineering that it takes to get a creature or machine or whatever to fit inside of a box form and actually make that look good is quite an achievement in and of itself. Number 3, it cleans up really well in its box form and it forms a solid box with well-defined sides. Number 4, there's a clear theme. Does it carry over the theme of the character into the box mode? On this topic, I'm including an allowance for bespoke box chargers, which in almost all cases supplements the theme of that character. And number 5, whether or not the box mode holds up pretty well. It goes without saying that certain beast boxes that form a floppy mess of a box or don't fit inside of the box charger very well aren't as interesting or really all that much fun. So let's start putting this list together. I'm not going to make you sit through me examining each one of these boxes, and believe me, everything is being considered, but I'm definitely going to offer some highlights and honorable mentions. Alright, so let's put this back together for the first round. This set of contenders is still pretty large, so I have to pan my camera up to get everything in frame. And I wound up with an odd number, so Fantasybox Santa will sit in the corner for the time being. After this round, I'll start doing the top 10 list, and I'll have some honorable mentions before I reveal the number 1 pick. One thing I want to point out, this is a definitive list of an individual figure, not a particular mold or remolds. That'll be weighted against the overall impact and design of the first release versus any follow-up releases, whether or not it's a special edition or if that follow-up release did indeed add something significant to the story or theme of a character over the original. The first round eliminations, I'm going to touch on what I like about each of these. This is the most recent AMTS vehicle set, the racing team with Cheetah and Gazelle. They both have unique vehicle designs, and Cheetah in particular forms an iconic box design. Gazelle's box design is a little bit more problematic, and I'll address that in an upcoming review. Like I said before, the individual box modes are what matters, but all the same, these are both out of contention. One of my prized possessions is Joe Jobs, which is a unique Beastbox with one-of-a-kind features including a keyboard, a mouse, and box charger that resembles a computer monitor. However, this list is not about box chargers, feature details, or gimmicks, and the Gorilla mold on its own doesn't make the cut. Same deal with the Evangelion Beetles. They have beautiful box charger designs and top-notch color schemes and styling. The Beetles themselves form nice-looking boxes, but they're not quite top 10 material. One thing I've always really dug about Jetsam is that its shell forms these interesting contours on its box mode, but that's not enough to make it a top 10 contender. Same with Good Luck. Its box mode makes it an interesting avatar of the figure, as does Bloodstone, so they're all out. The single Dio that I considered is the Year of the Dragon release. It's beautifully presented with this copper-colored filler insert inside of a jade transparent box with this cool Year of the Dragon symbol. But again, the box charger is only supplemental. The Camarasers are both amazing in that they're sophisticated, yet their box modes are relatively simple. But there are better box designs, and this is the process of elimination, so they're out of contention. These two are offshoots of each other. One thing I really love about Smoke is, it's an absolutely beautiful figure, and not just its box design. Though Shakira's box mode makes a bit more of an interesting shape, and this one stays for the next round. And on with the birds. This is a situation where I needed to decide which one best represents its mold. There's no denying that Sonic Ripple is an absolutely beautiful figure with its transparent neon greens and yellows with copper accents. I think being the first of its kind and a standout piece in its own right, Echo Blaster is the one to move forward. Contrast that with the Owls. White Noise is a groundbreaking figure design. Most people would probably rank these as among their top Beastbox figures, and I feel like Nocturne adds just a little bit of something extra premium with the figure's presentation, so it's my pick to head to the final round. Groundbreaking complexity with the amount of figure sophistication and the fact that their very organic equine shape can turn into a box. But as with Nocturne, the overall box charger presentation and the look and style of this figure definitely added something extra, so Chiron Inc. advances to the final round. For the crab, same deal. There's definitely an interesting theme with Meltdown and Overkill, but they're both of the female crab variant. I think there's something particularly charming about the male crab Ironclaw's oversized claw tucked under its chin. For the bugs, again, concessions have to be made. All of these are very beautifully done. I love the way the transparency of the insect's wings fold up and make some nice contours for the box mode. Bullet is absolutely beautiful, but its box mode isn't gaining anything by that. Gunpowder's transparent turquoise wings are beautiful and definitely play on the creature peeking out of a box theme, so it stays. As far as the quadratic figure sets, I'm actually going to do a video at some point to highlight this 4-up type figure design. For the sake of elimination, I do think Ice Cube here is more representative of what I'm looking for. And finally, here's Rusty Peace and Charon. Rusty Peace came out first, and I think there's a little bit more interesting stuff going on here. That brings us to the second elimination round for contenders, and we're down to 18 figures. And I'm here to tell you folks, I took this seriously, and there are so many good ones that it became a bit of a struggle to whittle down to just 10. But moving on, coming in at number 10, we have Gunpowder. The major feature of this figure, it goes without saying, are these absolutely beautiful translucent turquoise wings. I love the way that they form two sides of the box mode, and you get this creature inside the box theme, and just the way its legs kind of form these rib structures on the back. Then you've got the stinger, and it's just overall a beautiful avatar of this figure. On to number 9, we have Ice Cube. If there's one thing that 5.2 Toys has excelled at, it's unique and innovative designs, even within the simple concept of everything having to turn into cubes. I don't think there was anything like Ice Cube on the market before it, and it's a symmetrical box composed of 4 identical figures. It's also especially on theme for penguins who huddle together for warmth in real life. Number 8, we've got Golden Dragon. The interesting thing about this particular piece to me is the fact that this long serpentine figure folds up into a cube form. This mold was a very early release for this line and was absolutely a groundbreaking figure. You definitely get that vibe that a serpentine figure coiled up into this shape to fit in a box and is just waiting to pounce out. Plus, its organic shapes allude to ancient or traditional Chinese art. So it manages to represent Chinese culture and mythology and what 5-2 Toys was doing with this line, all in one masterfully designed showpiece. Number 7, we have Nocturne. Now, I'll just say up front that a lot of people probably would put this near the top of their own list for all the reasons that you would for a well-designed figure. For all of its complexity, it forms a fairly complete box mode with flat sides on all 6 sides. However, what knocks it down the list to me is that you have a lot of hollow bits that take away from the aesthetic. I'll also add that there's a cool Easter egg, which is a bit of a nod to the Beastbox aviator faction symbol. There is no denying that it is a very, very well-designed figure and one of the most complete box modes in the entire line. Number 6, we have Infinitybox Santa. Overall, it's a beautiful box design. It's got some really nice gold and silver paint applications, beautiful beveled edges, and the box mode works as sort of a meta, quote-unquote, theme within a theme, with Santa's bag of toys becoming the box that the entire piece is stored in. I love these extra bits that give you just a little bit of a hint of the character inside, like the tail lights and Santa's head peeking out. Number 5, Bin Bin. This is one of the most well-built box modes of the entire line. It is a solid piece. It compacts up very nicely, it's very sturdy, and with its overall geometric shape and industrial typography, it's really on theme of a little utilitarian character. The box charger supplements its theme with its stark white industrial crate appearance. Coming in at number 4, we have Echo Blaster. As with Golden Dragon, you kind of have to look at the history of the line, and being one of the earlier releases, I think this one really set the standard for what was to come for at least the next 2 or 3 years in the Beastbox line. It's a very well-formed shape, and its red, blue, and yellow primary colors really stand out. And probably most importantly, it works really well as an avatar of the figure inside the cube form. Not very many Beastboxes have been able to pull off that aesthetic with their box designs, and Echo Blaster, in my opinion, is a high watermark for dual figure and cube designs. Number 3 is Trident. As far as I know, this is the world's first and only transforming crawfish, but of course that's not why it's on the list. As with Echo Blaster, it definitely works as an avatar of the actual figure in its cube form. As a 6-sided geometric object, Trident is objectively a beautiful design. It has a lot of interesting shapes, and similar to Ice Cube, its box mode is formed from quadratic shapes of the tail, head, and claws on each side. But then you have a lot of hints of the figure within the box mode. The claws form these interesting patterns and shapes, the claw tips form these sawtooth edges, the hind legs form this cool rib structure, then you've got these neon accents within the tail vertebrae, and the overall triangular shape of the figure's head, which I definitely think is on theme for its name. Trident is just one of those box designs that I really enjoy looking at in this shape. Number 2, Neon Takuru. I had skipped the original red Takuru when it was released, but when I saw this guy, that was 100% a shut up and take my money event. This particular mold is probably the best box form in the entire lineup, but with one notable issue. Given the design of the figure, they could not get the bottom part closed up, although to be fair, you're always going to have this thing sitting upright anyway. It has beautifully rounded radius corners, clean beveled edges, and for this particular figure, really cool techie looking tattoos that are UV reflective. Takuru is also the only figure in the entire 5-2 Toys Machine Cube line that's made of die-cast metal, and it is heavy. All in all, it's a beautiful showpiece and a beautiful compact box form. If you love interesting, well-made objects, this is definitely one to have in your collection. Before we get to the final figure in the top 10 box modes list, I do want to do a quick spotlight on the runner-ups. Chiron Inc. is unquestionably one of the most sophisticated creature designs in the line, and it's mind-boggling how this proportionately accurate, organic equine shape can somehow fold up into this. Honestly, this is black magic. As far as box modes go, my personal favorite among the AMTS vehicle series are Acteon and Endymion. The latter has this allusion to a trapezoidal shape with beveled edges, and is completely geometric around all sides. Acteon, however, is a direct contrast to that design with its unusual asymmetry, and its designer Andrew Lewing took its styling to a whole other level by cleverly using contour graphics from different parts of the vehicle to complete this circular shape for the box mode. This is pure genius. Phantom Master forms a very clean box design, and it also has a bit of that creature peeking out of the box aesthetic. So this figure is pretty much on theme for the series as both a beast and a box. Eliminating Ricochet was a hard decision, even though it forms another very nice compact box shape with beautiful beveled edges and all of that. On the flip side, its overall look and feel is very similar to Infinitybox Santa and the Owls, and as a point of comparison, both of those won out slightly on their style and themes. I love the styling of Shakira's box mode and how these shark fins form these spiky corners. It's a beautiful showpiece. And these two guys. I love their very stylized robot look. A lot of more modern Beastbox figures are getting away from beveled edges and heavily industrialized aesthetics in favor of more detailed, organic shapes. This is a pair that really pulled me into the line. I know some people want more realistic looking spiders, but I love these big chunky legs and beveled edges. And interestingly enough, what these two make me think of is when I'd visit a toy store way back when I was a little kid. And more specifically, for whatever reason, KB toy stores, with that specific smell of new plastic lingering in the air and that blue carpet. I can actually visualize myself walking down the aisle of that store and coming across little figures like this, and taking them home to play with for hours. Beautifully sculpted geometry, color schemes, and clever gimmicks are what sells both of these figures. I just hope that 52 Toys doesn't forget the inherent value of this design aesthetic, and that this type of geometry works much more favorably for cube forms. And that brings me to the number one box mode in my collection, and that is Rusty Piece. First off, it does form a very compact, nicely put together box shape with a small caveat. It's actually one of the most complex transformations, and definitely leaves some room for error. But when you do it correctly, it comes together really nicely. It has fantastic styling. It's on the theme of a Victorian area, kind of a steampunk aesthetic, which is a great double entendre for a deep sea creature. But most importantly, it accomplishes something that no other Beastbox does. Its box mode literally has a face. To me, that is incredible engineering. They somehow contorted all of that into a cube and then put the face of this creature back into its box mode in a different form with its teeth prominently on display and these vents forming eyes. This is another one that reminds me of when I was a little kid. Do you guys remember Mad Balls? There were these little rubber balls that were molded into the shape of a monster's face. I feel like that's what we have going on with Rusty Piece, and that to me is something that takes the box mode / avatar conceit to a whole other level. And it's done with a very cleverly designed transforming figure that's already a brilliant intersection of robotic creature design and genre. I mean, it's beautifully designed, it's quirky, it's interesting, and it also has a really funny box design. So that rounds out the list for the year-end 10 for 2024. I want to extend an invitation to other Beastbox collectors and enthusiasts. Tell me what's on your list of your favorite box modes and what you like about them. I want to hear from you. So, just a quick recap. Number 10 is Gunpowder. Number 9, Ice Cube. Number 8, Golden Dragon. Number 7, Nocturne. Number 6, Fantasy Box Santa. Number 5, Bin Bin. Number 4, Echo Blaster. Number 3, Trident. Number 2, Neon Takuru. And of course, my pick for the number 1 box mode is Rusty Piece. If you made it to the end of this list, I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. I want to know what your thoughts are on your favorite box modes. Of course, the most important thing is that you enjoy what you have in your collection. I hope you're proud of what you own. This is a very unique and special line, and it opens the gateway for a lot of imagination for a lot of people. I appreciate everybody who has subscribed to me, who's watching my videos, and all the input that I've had from you over the year. I've been seeing quite a bit of new viewers in 2024. Just a little insight on that, the number of subscribers to this channel has more than doubled over the past year. And I think 2025 is going to be a fantastic year. There's a lot of cool new Beastbox and Infinity boxes coming around the corner, and I still have a lot of content that I look forward to sharing with you in the coming months. I hope you're having a wonderful new year, and I look forward to talking with you again in January. Thanks again. Take care.
Is anyone there?